Well, g'day curd nerds. Today we're going to be learning about milk. Milk is the most vital ingredient in cheese making. So I've had so many questions on the channel, I thought that I would show you the worst to the best, and then to go on a little bit further, some of the creams that are marketed here in Australia. So this is all supermarket bought milk. I went down to our local Woolworths, not dropping any names or anything, but that's where I got them from. This is not a paid product placement. I purchased all these with my own money. Anyway, so let's start off. So the first one we've got here is UHT milk. So this is, it says on the label, Australian full cream milk, simple goodness of dairy milk. Anyway, this milk is the worst possible milk you can use to make cheese with. And the reason being, it is ultra heat treated UHT milk. So it's in a silver lined Tetra Pak. You can spot it a mile away. And on the side, it actually says 100% homogenized, ultra heat treated full cream milk. Now it has a fairly decent fat content of 3.3 grams per 100, so that's 3.3%, but it will not set a curd. It's almost impossible. So the next milk is very deceiving. This one is organic full cream milk. It says permeate free, which is just basically whey. Anyway, the reason why this is very deceptive is because if you have a look at the label, it says it's homogenized and ultra-pasteurised. So again, very similar to UHT milk, it has been superheat treated or ultra heat treated, and it will not set a curd. So if you're going to try and use organic milk, just check. Make sure that it hasn't been ultra pasteurised because, like I said, it won't set a curd. It's been heated too much. The proteins have been denatured, and basically you won't get a curd set. Anyway, so the fat content of this one is 4%, so not too bad. It'll probably taste okay, but like I said, ultra pasteurised, so it won't set a curd. So the next one is skim milk. This is basically coloured water. There is hardly any milk protein in this milk at all. So the fat content of this is 0.1 grams. So that's 0.1% of milk fat. So I can actually nearly see through the carton, even though this is a white plastic carton, you can nearly see through this. So it is useless for making milk, basically. For making cheese. So stay clear of skimmed milk, unless your recipe says add it for whatever reason. Well, the next brand they have, or the next type of milk they have here in Australia, is known as light milk. So light milk is 1.3 grams of fat per 100 mils. So that's about a fat content of 1.3%. So you can actually use it. This is pasteurised and homogenised. Similar to this, normal pasteurisation and homogenised, which is the skim milk. This is the light one. And this one you will set a curd if you use calcium chloride. However, you'll get a very, very low yield compared to, say, the full cream milks, which we'll talk about in a sec. So this is good if you need to make or lower the fat content of one of the fuller cream milks for some reason. And the only reason I can really think of that is if you're making Parmesan, where you need to get it down to about 2.2% fat in your milk. And that's what traditional Parmesan is made from. So you could use this to supplement some of the fuller cream milks, which we'll check out in a sec. Okay, so on to our next milk. Now this is where we can actually, from here onwards, don't make cheese with it. From here, this side, so from my right to left, or the other way around, you can start making cheese with these types of milk. So let's get on to it. So this is called, in Australia anyway, it's called full cream milk. So this has a fat content of 3.4 grams per 100 mils, so it's about 3.4% roughly. It is known as standardised milk, so it's been taken from many dairies and many herds of cows, and it has been mixed down. They skim some of the cream off and make this product called full cream milk. Now in the US it's also known, and North America, as far as I can tell, it's known as whole milk. However, whole milk in the US I think is around about 3.25% fat, so a little bit less than Australian standardised milk. So using calcium chloride, you can firm up the curd set on this one, and this is perfectly acceptable. This is pasteurised and homogenised, similar to these two products here. So you can make cheese with this one. A little bit of a low yield because of the only 3.4% fat. So this one will be perfectly acceptable to use for cheese making, if that's all you could get your hands on. Okay, the next one, and this is a product called Farmhouse Gold. Now, I did used to think that this was fairly okay to use for making cheese. However, I did notice the other day, I was looking at the ingredients, and it says ingredients milk and cream. So it's made from 100% Australian milk. It's unhomogenised and pasteurised, so you can actually see a cream line when it gets a little bit older, but this is fairly new. This is only like 3 days old or something like that, and there's no cream line on top, but it is unhomogenised. However, just by having that milk and cream kind of leads me to the suspicion that this has had added cream to it, and you don't know if that cream has actually been thickened with gelatine. What kind of gives it away is if you look at the fat content, it says 4.7%. So 4.7% is abnormally high for normal cow's milk. Normal cow's milk ranges between about 3.8 all the way up to 5 for some breeds of cow. Here in Australia, they don't have those really those high fat milk breeds. The cow with the highest fat content is usually the Swiss brown or Jersey cows, which are around about 4.5, 4.8. Now I don't know if they use Jersey cows to get this, but like I said, because the ingredients list cream as an additive, then I think this is standardised milk that has had cream added. So I have used it to make cheese. Sometimes it fails, so I would not use this to make milk. So maybe I should put that to make cheese. So maybe I should put that here in the row of milks to use. So that brings us on to what I consider the premium of cheese making milks. Anyway, here in Australia, and this is unhomogenised. This is unhomogenised cow's milk. It has been pasteurised. The ingredients say pasteurised, unhomogenised, full cream milk. Doesn't say, oh, it says contains milk, doesn't say it contains cream. So the fat content of this is 3.8 grams per 100 mils. So that's about 3.8%. This is a very good milk to use for cheese making. If you get your hands on it, it's available, well, here in Australia anyway, at Woolworths, and it's under the brand Farmer's Own. I think they have, every state has a different label. This one says Victoria. I know New South Wales have New South Wales farmers and so on and so forth. Well, it is packed in Victoria. So this is perfect, and you've probably seen this one in some of my cheese making videos because this is the milk I prefer to use. There is one other which I don't have my hands on, and that's raw milk. Raw milk straight from the cow. If you use it within a day, maybe two, then it's perfectly fine to make for cheese. If you're concerned about the quality of the milk, whether it's been sitting around too long and not at below 4 degrees Celsius, then I would then pasteurise it. I'd use a low heat, long hold process, which I'll put a link to in the description below. So if you're using raw milk, then yeah, I would pasteurize it. If you're concerned about the storage temperature for a long time, but if you can get it fresh from the cow, just let it cool down to the target temperature of your cheese recipe, and then just go for it. Now this brings me on to creams, because some cheeses need cream added to increase the fat content of the milk. And recipes that come to mind are Stilton, where you add a little bit more fat content to the milk, to the cheese, to give it a creamier texture. And also Double and Triple Breeze are another one, another cheese recipe where you would add cream. So let's have a look at from the worst to the best as far as creams go. No brand names, well there is a brand name, but this cream is a liquidy. You can hear it rattling in the bottle, so it's fairly runny. It is 35% milk fat, so 35% fat if you look at the label. And it has an extra ingredient which is not very good for cheese making. So it contains fresh cream. It also contains gelatin, which is the thickener. So it's a cheats method where they can have a lower amount of fat in the cream and it still looks thick for pouring. The thickener doesn't go well in a curd set, so don't add this sort of cream to any of the milks that I would use, maybe these two, for cheese making. That brings me on to the next one, which is pure double cream. So this is the ingredients list contains milk, so obviously it's just cream. It also has 51% fat, so it's very high, and it's actually rather thick, so doesn't rattle. You'd actually have to spoon this out. Very difficult to mix this back into milk if you're trying to bring up the fat content. So I would not, even though this is a pure cream, I would not choose to use this one. And that brings us to the lucky last. This is a pure cream. Lists the ingredients as, if I can find the ingredients, fresh cream. That's all, and it says it's 45% milk fat, and it rattles, so it is runny. So this is the perfect cream to use for making cheese. It doesn't have any thickeners, no gelatin in it, and it can pour. So you will be able to incorporate this back into the cheese, no problems at all. Sorry, into the milk to make cheese if you need to add cream in. Okay, well hopefully that's helped you out in choosing the types of milk. So like I said, for cheese making, all I would use, or wouldn't use any of these, I would use these two. This one's pasteurised homogenized, not ultra pasteurised, and this one is simply pasteurised and unhomogenized, which has a cream line. You can actually see the cream sitting about there in the carton, about there. This one here, you cut no cream line because it's been homogenized, passed through very fine mesh filters, so you won't see it. And as I said, let's get those creams out the way, and that cream there, it's 45%, it's pourable, you'll be able to mix it back into your milk. Anyway, curd nerds, hopefully that's helped you choose which milk type in any country you live in. You should be able to figure it out. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the channel to see more cheesy videos. If you want to see a cheese that I added cream to, then check out this Stilton recipe. Also, don't forget that you can buy cheese making kits to make your cheese from littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Thanks for watching, curd nerds, and we'll see you next time.